Welcome, everyone, to the Ohio Fly Tying Guild. I'm Gary Begley, and thanks for joining us. The Guild is a function of the Buckeye United Fly Fishers, my local club, Cincinnati, and it's in conjunction with the Ohio Council of Fly Fishers International. That said, I'll get on with the flies. The first one, I got a hopper pattern. That'll be the second one. Real easy hopper pattern and just as effective as the more elaborate ones. But first off, there's a nymph, caught tons of fish with a gold bead, a fish with some sort of a gold bead, or a fly with some sort of a gold bead or a silver bead, and even some flash. But there's days, excuse me, there's days when I go out and I don't catch anything with those same flies. So sometimes I can't help but wonder if the gold's too much for them. So I wanted to come up with a fly that was more subdued. But I started off wanted to tie a nymph, less flash, no gold bead. I got a bead, but it's not gold. And I want to heavily weight it so I get it down in the water column quick. So it's got a tungsten bead and some lead wraps. And it is, we'll use raked dubbing from a hare's mask. So the hook I've got is what we refer to as a Klinkhammer hook. It's an 1160 Daiichi, size 14 is where I'm going with. And got a tungsten bead. I've got 8 wraps of lead already on here, 20,000s. And it's a mottled brown bead, none of the gold, flashy gold stuff. And I'm going to start my thread behind the wraps of lead. All the way to the back, down around the bend some. Actually, I need to adjust the hook in the vise. I got that far. Now I'm going to rotate my vise because if I just let this hang, it's going to drop the last 2 or 3 wraps out. So I want to go get a tail. And I've got pheasant skin. And what I was going to do, I like to use the feathers that we rarely use when I've got a whole skin. So I'm going way up here and grab one. I've already selected one. Get rid of this fluff stuff. And pull back enough for a tail. That looks like a good tail for a nymph right there. I don't want it very long at all. Got a hook gap. Twist some thread counterclockwise, so it'll jump to the rear. Line this down well along the hook shank. Now I've got some wire. What I'm going to use, again, it's not gold. Trying to get away from the shiny stuff. It's small brown ultra wire. It's brown, not gold. And I'll tie that in on the way back to the rear. Now, I'm going to use some dubbing from a hare's mask. I'm going to use a rake, a dubbing rake. Probably should go back to the vise. Just a little miniature rake. and that's the economy model. There is a much better one. I shouldn't say much better. It's bigger, it's larger, heavier, and the rake surfaces is a little wider. That one's actually become my favorite. Of course, as you probably already guessed, the price goes up accordingly with the size. But in order to get the dubbing out of here, all you have to do, break that back and forth. There's some hare's mask dubbing. It's got guard hairs. The higher angle I have, the more guard hairs will get picked up. If I stay low, real low angle, I don't get very many guard hairs at all. So that's what we're going to use. Actually, I got some already raked out and put in the box, ready to go. I've got some, oh goodness, I've got some fine squirrel in here. I've got red fox squirrel, and I've got dark and light hare's mask. And what I'm going to do with the abdomen section, which needs to be, generally speaking, lighter color than the thorax, I've got some mixed between the dark and the light. So that's what I'm going to use. The abdomen section. Put my dubbing on a little thicker than I normally would. I want to get some bulk built up. Now, of course, you can buy dubbing. You don't need to, you're not interested in doing so. You don't need to get a rake and pluck your own. I like it because you can mix the colors easy. You have total control over how many guard hairs is in the dubbing mix that you create. The taper as body goes up. I want to make sure this is on the rear 2/3 of the hook shank. There you can see some guard hairs sticking out. And I'm going to counter wrap this. There again, you can see the brown wire is not going to be causing any flash in the water. In fact, it's almost disappearing. But I wanted to put the wire rib in there to protect the dubbing. Try to make things last a little longer. All right, now, wing case. I'm going to go ahead and tie one in because I did say that it's optional. This is one that I tied earlier, and there is a wing case in there. You can barely see it. I'm thinking that I'll probably want to tie some of these for fishing. I'm going to leave it out. You can barely see the darn thing anyway. What I've got is some fin skin. And the thread counterclockwise. That way it will jump up right over top of my thumbnail. And I can get that bound in where I want it. Simply. Now, I'm going to switch to my darker dubbing, which is out of the darker portions of the hare's mask. Purposely left a lot of guard hair in this one. And this batch of dubbing. Larger diameter than the abdomen. Little thread base down here for my collar with the pheasant skin. I'm going to use, I've already got one selected over there and prepared. I'm going to use these little guys, little white ones with the dark spots. It's generally what people use when they're tying a soft hackle. This will be soft hackle style, but I'm not going to fret over getting it looking perfect. Now, what I do with these feathers is strip all this back and just leave this short section. I only want one turn, maybe two, maybe 1/2. Those skinny parts, that's what we're going to use to create the collar. We'll get this tied in. Yeah, I got a completely different method than what most tires use. Usually tires will cut just the tiniest, leave just the tiniest little triangle. I like this. Something much larger to grab. Grab with my thread. And let's strip these back. I just get ready to say, don't be surprised if it breaks because these are very fragile. All right, I got more. I'll show you guys how I prepared it from the beginning. Get rid of this fluff. Might be better on the other camera. I'm going to use about that much. The fibers back. Like I said, I'm not going to take great pains to make it like a soft hackle collar. I just want to get some movement in the water. So there is the fly.
Gary, is that collar to be like a wet fly?
Not necessarily. I just wanted to get, that's the method I use to tie it in, yes.
Okay.
But I just wanted to get some movement in the water, something
Okay.
and something that might simulate legs. Trying to make basically, I'm considering this an attractor nymph
Okay.
without the gold beads. So that way I've got an alternative in my box. If I go to a spot where I've caught with gold beads before, and all of a sudden it's not working that day, of course, there's any number of factors to be the reason. And I've often wondered about the gold, but I never had an alternative, so I couldn't answer that question. I'm going to tie some of these, and then I'll have an alternative. I'll go ahead and switch to the hopper pattern. This is a Walter Wiese pattern, and it's like I indicated, this is just about the simplest hopper pattern that I've found. There's the hopper. As we've just got some hair for the wing, bleached elk, one piece of foam, not several. We got some rubber legs. Very simple. Yep, very effective. TMC 2312. I'm tying on a size 6. You could go larger, go a little bit smaller if you like. This hook has actually it's designed for hoppers and stoneflies and such. It's got a slight curve. And you can tie them in whatever color you wish. Tie in tan. Cord my thread up. Get a little more texture for the dubbing. Foam-bodied flies are notorious for wanting to spin around on the hook shank. There's a few ways to help that. I will use super glue. I have used peacock curl, like at this point on the fly, I would just wrap a few strands of peacock curl going forward, and when I could put the super glue on it, that'll hold the body and then bind the body down, and it holds it steadfast. I've also used ostrich hurl. I'm going to use dubbing on this fly. There's one other thing I've used, and it slips my mind right now. Maybe I'll pick it up in a minute. Dubbing I'm going to use is a mixture of rabbit and antron, hairtron they call it. But it works really well. It does have a little flash in it, so we're going back the other way now. Yep. Thread, by the way, is 140 denier ultra thread, whatever is going to work for you. Just bear in mind we will need to flare the hair for the wing. So you want something that's going to have some strength to it. Rather thick layer. I want something that the super glue is going to be able to adhere to. A little bit more. Oh. So I can lay some super glue there, lay the body on it, and that's going to hold it really well. And the other method that I couldn't think of a minute ago to use to keep the body from spinning around, it's called a binder strip. You can take just like a 1/8 inch by 1/8 inch piece of foam and put it on top of the hook shank and tie it down and just bind it down to where it's just all floatability is gone. But that gives you something solid that's on the hook, super glue, and then the hopper body, and it doesn't go anywhere. Now, back to the hopper. I'm going to use some Tire's Z-Mint, they call it. Obviously distributed by Waspy. And you see the familiar Zap emblem down there, like the Zap-A-Gat, for example. I have a foam body already cut out. I want about, that can be the end here. And of course, you could easily do that with scissors, especially curved scissors. About half a hook shank, maybe slightly more. I'll lay that down right there. Line that down well right there. Cross over to form the next segment. I'm going to cross over up top. So those diagonal lines are on top and they'll be covered up with the wing instead of on the bottom. Can't say for sure the fish would care, but looks better to me. Two or three good tight wraps on top, and now that the super glue set in, and that's pretty well in place. So I'm going to zoom back up to the front again, crossing over top instead of on the bottom, so that gives us a fairly decent looking underbelly. I've got I mentioned using peacock curl. I've got a beetle pattern that I tie, and I use peacock curl, and it kind of looks like legs, maybe. Especially the ostrich roll, they look like legs. Right, so now it's time for the wing. I'm going to use bleached elk. Go back over to the other camera. Show you guys how I do this. It's pretty standard method. I like to use my scissors to divide out what I want from a wing. I got my scissors that I only use to cut hair. When I can remember. I'll go ahead and clean this out. Flip that back and forth. Get any under fur. Got a little bit into the stacker. So there's a well-stacked wing. I want this to come almost to the length of the tail. Instead of fighting with these butt ends, I'm just going to go ahead and cut them off right now. Cordon thread again. Now right here, I got my index finger on the back side, on the far side of the hook. Go ahead and flare the hair. Now, there's a lot of hairs there, and the only ones that have thread on them are the ones in the top portion of the bundle. So I'm going to go ahead and go through here, get some thread on some other hairs. I believe that'll help them being pulled. That's pulled through. Help them from being pulled through. Fold this over. Bring that down well. I made some rubber legs. That's a 3-inch piece of round rubber leg material. There's any number of ways you can use to mount these. Slide it in. Figure out which one is the bottom and bring it all around. It's evened up a little better. Go ahead and cut this loop. There's my 4 legs. Now, the only other thing that I like to do is put I call it a fly finder. It's a small piece of foam, cut real small, about a 1/16 of an inch square, right around top of here, and that helps me locate my fly as it's drifting down. There's actually, it's called a GFA hopper, general foam attractor. Quick, easy pattern, like I indicated before. Sometimes you'll see hopper patterns. They've got calf or squirrel tail hair here to help hold this up, which I don't think it needs it. They'll have flash, crystal flash, whatever kind of flash they can decide to throw on. And it's, again, the fish is going to see that, the underside. And again, like I say, maybe if observing it from the side, they might see a silhouette of a wing, but we've got it. All right, so there's the GFA hopper. Any questions? Any comments?
Gary, I have a question for you. John Stoderman here from St. Louis.
Yes.
When you tie the bigger ones, the hoppers and things, have you ever used the GSP thread, the gel spun thread? And if yes, why? I mean, I'm trying to use it myself, or if no, what is your opinion for the big flies?
For big flies. Well, you just watched me flare the deer or flare the elk hair with 140 denier ultra thread.
Right.
Tie a bass bug and do a lot of hair flaring and spinning. Yes, I'm going to switch to GSP.
Okay.
But flies of this sort, no point in it.
It's too much technology then, right?
I'm sorry.
It's just too much technology, right? When you're
Well, yeah, we can outsmart ourselves if we're not too careful, or if we're not careful. One note: tying foam flies with GSP, you can cut right through the foam. If you pull very hard, you can slice right through the piece of foam.
Okay.
Of course, that's possible to go through deer hair as well, but just got to watch your thread pressure.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Sure.
Gary, on your wing there, would that be like a half a pencil length or pencil width? You
That's
think?
probably about half the pencil diameter. Yeah,
Okay.
what I did, yeah, for this size.
Yeah, right.
Smaller flies, you're going to have to downsize it, and larger flies, that's good. It's going to depend on the size of the fly.
Okay.
Right. I tied some um in different colors. Here. One of these, I felt that I had too much. Maybe not. Oh well. Yeah, I thought most of the hoppers I see around here are ones that are in fields and such. And those are the ones that might get blown into the stream. And they have yellow abdomen. And on top they're olive. So I thought, well, maybe I'll tie one with an olive wing and a yellow body. So I'll see how that works. I've not tried that color combination. Anything else?
Gary, I looked that up on that rake just in case anybody is interested in that Terra
Sure.
that you have. It goes for $345, which is a real good price for it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think you gave enough real emphasis on what a zirconia one costs, and they're running
Yeah,
at 40. They're $40 right now.
40. I think mine was when I got it. It's been years ago. I think it was 30, like 31 or something like that. If it was
It
40
does a
something,
it
I
sure
probably
does
wouldn't
a
have bought
nice
it.
job.
Yeah.
It does a very nice job.
Yes, it does. Um,
But everybody's got them.
yeah. Oh, okay. Um,
Gary,
this one has become my favorite. Absolutely.
Yeah, oh
Always
yeah.
like to show the economy model. I'll refer to it as, but this is the one I go to if I'm going to tie some flies.
Gary, I have a question about when you tied your fly, you like to put deer hair for the hopper on the top of the fly.
Uh-huh.
All right. And the trout is looking up. They're not going to see the deer hair. What about them?
Unless
All right. Go there you go. There's going to be my question, and there's your answer.
Okay. Unless they're going to see it there, and of course they have such a small cone of vision, but if they're off to the side and they look, they may see the silhouette of a wing.
Thank you.
Is my thoughts. What's going to happen? What's a hopper going to do if it finds itself in a stream? It's going to start flapping its wings. It's going to try to get out of there.
Yeah.
So
I got it. Thank you.
trying to cover all the bases that they may see. All right. Anybody else have any comments, questions? If not, I will wish everyone a happy weekend.
Yeah, thank you, Gary. Appreciate it.
Very welcome.
Thank you,
Well done. Thanks, Gary.
There we go. Very welcome. And thanks to all you guys for showing up.
Thanks,
It's
Gary.
Yep. Very welcome.
Thanks, Gary.
All right. Everybody have a happy weekend, and in my general area, stay cool.